Next week is Eating Disorders Awareness Week, and eating disorders are widely misunderstood and support options are often inaccessible. To raise awareness about these life-threatening illnesses, Southern Smash is coming to the University of North Florida. Smashers will take sledgehammers to scales to demolish the idea of perfection. The event will be Thursday from noon until 2 p.m. It is free and open to the public. And as we told you earlier this morning, a local family is also organizing a walk today. Joining me now with more on eating disorders is the owner of the Body Image Counseling Center, Lori Osachi. Thank you so much for being here this morning. What are the warning signs? Sometimes they can be very hard at first to pick up on of your child or even a student who may have an eating disorder.
There are several kinds of eating disorders. So one of the first signs you want to look for is a significant reduction in weight, but that's not always a sign. Someone can be of normal weight and still be purging, making themselves throw up. So you want to also look for behaviors like disappearing to the bathroom after meals, an increase in exercise, becoming compulsive, which sometimes we think is very healthy when kids exercise more and want to get up off the couch. But when they're feeling guilty about missing a workout, or if they're exercising more and more, very tired, that can be a sign. Also, we're seeing an increase in obsession with clean eating and diets like veganism and vegetarianism, which are not necessarily a bad thing, but they can become very extreme and turn into eating disorders.
And if you notice your children with some of those behaviors, or even a student if you're a teacher, or even in coaches sometimes, we hear a lot of athletes, sometimes go through these eating disorders. How do you approach that with your child or a student? How's the best way to talk to them?
The best way is, of course, to reassure them that you don't want to pull them out of activities, or you don't want them to stop their sport or not go to school, but that you're in charge of their safety and wellness. And you can stick with the things you've noticed that are observable. So if you've seen that they've dropped a lot of weight, if they seem lethargic or depressed, their personality's changed, they're not doing well in school, you can look at those observable that they can't really argue about. They're visible.
And what should you do? What steps should you take? What are the first steps you should take with your child if you do start to notice these signs?
Sometimes parents think it's a stage and they will let it go and hope they just grow out of it, and that's very dangerous. Eating disorders are the most deadly of the mental health disorders, and they can last for years. I have a lot of people that come to see me, unfortunately, who had eating disorders as teenagers and never got help, and then they suffered for years before they got the help themselves. So the first stop is really the doctor, to have them looked over physically, and also refer to a therapist and a nutritionist that are qualified. You really need qualified help to treat eating disorders, not a generalist.
And many times, eating disorders aren't talked about. A lot of people who have them, we've spoken to several who, they try to hide it, they try to keep it. What is the stigma surrounding eating disorders nowadays?
I think, honestly, it's a stigma about being fat. I think that people are afraid to gain weight and they're afraid to be their natural size. So people, we live in a dieting culture that encourages people to starve themselves. So, and on top of that, I think mental health is a stigma unfortunately, we're trying to remove mental illness as a stigma in our society. But there are different kinds of eating disorders. So people compulsively overeat or binge eat. So that is a stigma in society as well.
And real quickly before we go, if people want to learn more information from you, where can they go?
Right, so I'm offering my parent guide today. I have a parent guide on Amazon, and if you Google my name or Google this title, Lori Osachi, it will be free for 5 days, and it really gives you step-by-step instructions on what to do and who to go to, how to find the right therapist, nutritionist, doctor, because you can't fool around. I've had parents that spent months and months with providers that could not help them.
And all of those are so crucial in that recovery journey. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And a reminder that this morning's walk will be at Riverside Park. Check-in starts at 9 o'clock this morning, and the opening ceremony begins at 10. If you didn't register for the walk ahead of time, you can still do so at the event this morning.